There's a leader in you. And one day it could be your turn. Or not. So which way?
All right, here we go. Last of Us episode 7, Left Behind. This is the part 2 of what we do, Max.
Yep, the feedback, deep dive, episode grab. But before we jump in, a little, maintenance here. The show now, we've heard a lot from a lot of people requesting that we do more than just The Last of Us.
Yep.
And The Last of Us is winding down, but we still have a lot of episodes we've come up with even after the show is over.
Yeah, some bonus content and stuff.
Bonus content and stuff. But people have asked for us to do other current TV shows. I mean, we do have the other show, Still Holds Up, where we review old movies. And we have a really exciting one we're going to announce next week for movies that are hitting the theaters.
Right.
But they wanted something for other shows relevant. So we will be doing additional shows on this podcast that is now named The ExStreamists.
The ExStreamists, I like it.
That's who we are. That's what we are. The first show we actually did was yesterday. Was it yesterday? What day is this?
We did it at a midnight run. So
we did the midnight run of The Mandalorian, season 3 premiere.
1, yep.
So, and we had Joey, who did the two Star Wars episodes with us on Still Holds Up.
Yep.
He's a I call him the Star Wars connoisseur, but he is definitely a wealth of knowledge in the Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
So pretty much, I think anything Star Wars we're going to do, we're probably going to bring him in. So
it's probably a smart move.
Yeah. So he's going to be our special guest host for the whole season of Mandalorian, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So you'll see some new artwork. Branding on
right.
on your podcast feed, on your whether it's on Spotify or Apple podcast, wherever you consume your podcast. So we're now The ExStreamists, and The Last of Us is not going to go away. It's just there's going to be additional content on this podcast stream.
Right.
So I'm excited. You're excited. We already brainstormed a couple of other shows that we're going to partake in. Actually, for Patreon users, this week we're going to be dropping a bonus content on there of The Tulsa King.
Yeah,
that was Sylvester Stallone's awesome TV show that premiered on Paramount Plus.
Yeah,
so that'll be a special content for Patreon users. So
yeah,
we're very excited with this rebranding and we're not pivoting, we're just enhancing. Does that make sense?
I like that. We're not pivoting, we're enhancing. That's good.
There you go.
I like that. Yeah, I hope everybody that listens to this, moving forward, is as excited as we are about, just having the opportunity, having the platform really to just add more content. So should be exciting. And then if anybody has any ideas of other shows they'd like us to hear us talk about,
yeah,
even if it's a past show or something like that, I think maybe something that we could just that there's going to be a new season coming out for it or something like that, and you want us to maybe touch on a previous season to kind of gear up for that or something like that. So if it's in our wheelhouse, I think we'd probably try to figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into this really quick. We didn't really love this episode when it first came out.
Yeah.
It was late when we watched it. Maybe I was really hoping that maybe it was kind of maybe because we're just in a bad mood or something. Because it seems
you could say I was in a bad mood.
You were in a bad mood, and I feed off of you. But at the same time, so we just rewatched it again, and we were taking notes. We find scenes that we wanted to pull and talk about.
Yeah.
And do I think this is now a banger of an episode after rewatching it? I absolutely do not. I'm still kind of a little baffled on why people love it so much, and why some people thought it also stayed really true to what the original content was, because it did to a certain point. But it was funny how you and I were griping about this, and it's the first time a part of this show has come up that I haven't had a chance to play that section of the game before. Yeah. So I didn't know anything about what was happening.
Explain to those who don't play the game why you didn't play it before.
Well, because it was a DLC add-on content, and sometimes money was tight. And then when I was done with the main game itself, I didn't feel like going back and playing it again. Sometimes, at least like a DLC for it. It didn't add to this. It didn't add to the future of the story. It was kind of like talking about something in the past, and I didn't, for whatever reason at the time. I mean, this game came out like a long time ago initially, so I didn't know where it was going to go. But it was funny how the gripes we were talking about, what we would have wanted to happen in this episode, actually happens in the game, which was kind of baffling. That the showrunners, the creator, they've come out and they've talked about why they've made certain decisions to like enhance the TV experience. Making an entire episode specifically for
Bill and
Frank, and how they thought that was good for television. Why they got rid of the spores and they added the network, which you don't really see anything about the network so far going forward. But they took out an element of the DLC that I thought was done so well that they would have put that in the game in the show, and they took it out, which was you actually see Ellie's battle struggle between the present and the past, where like there'll be a section where like you leave Joel and then you go out and you kind of go find supplies and stuff that you want to actually get to help Joel, right? She takes him to a mall, like not the mall that we see in the show.
Not the Boston mall.
Yeah, takes him to a different mall, puts him in a store, closes the shutters, and she goes through this mall looking for like a first aid kit, supplies, needle and thread, whatever it is to help save Joel. And when it gets to certain points where she starts to struggle a little bit, then it goes and shows part of her past with Riley. And then at a certain point with Riley, then it goes back to the present, back and forth, back and forth. So you see kind of like some things that like something that they'll parallel each other in certain parts. Not as much as you think it would by me talking about it like this way, but it kept the pace of the game going, which I thought would have been really well for the show.
I thought it would have presented better if they did it that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of points in this episode that just kind of drags unnecessarily. Like we don't need to see them climbing upstairs and doing other things, even though this is a show that's, supposed to be more character driven than I think and action driven and stuff. But I think this would have been a good way to balance it out. So you take out those little things and you add some action parts to it. It would have been cool. Like I understand in the game, I mean, there's a point where she's running away from multiple infected or multiple, people that are trying to kill her and stuff like that. You don't need to do something that drastic, but maybe there's like a store and you can see, and this happens in the game where you can see like, a med kit or something like that, but you got to sneak around an infected person to go and get it. And there's like that tension there. It would have been cool to add those elements, but that's me just griping because I have this microphone and this platform to do that. Yeah,
people,
so I can't.
To give, some behind the scenes, we both played the games years ago, but we decided I will not play it while watching the show, so I can just view it from as if I didn't play the game, and I just want to, look at the show for the show's case. But for you watch the episode first, and then, during the week leading up to our Wednesday episode, you play the game. So you get that dual aspect. So it was funny that what we talked about on Sunday, you actually got to experience it. Right. And we just wish that they had did the episode like that, because in my opinion, it would have made the episode flow a little bit better. Right. It would have been a little bit better execution. Because my gripe with the episode, I think we gave it a 4 on Sunday, right?
Yes.
Like my gripe was more on the execution. It wasn't on the performance by the actresses. I thought they did a great job. Some of the monologues, especially we were going to play one soon. There were a couple of monologues that I really appreciated, in there, and there were some great moments, especially at the end with Joel and Ellie and Riley and Ellie, right? So those pieces were great, but I didn't like the full execution of how whatever 35 minutes of the episode.
Right. Well, are you going to change your score?
I am going to change my score.
What's your score?
I'm going to bump it up a little bit. After rewatching it and really appreciating more the conversations and some of the subtle things that the actresses did,
right?
I probably push this up to a 6.
Ooh,
because I'll take 1 point for my horrible mood on Sunday night, and then 1 point for the writing in terms of the monologues was pretty cool. Was good, but the overall execution, I'm not giving it and I've been rating some of these episodes 9s, 10s on my IMDb and stuff like that. So,
Right.
But I'll change mine from a 4 to a 6 on like IMDb where I put my ratings.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a 7.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna give it an extra 3 points.
3 points.
And the reason why is, and it's, I don't know, it's kind of funny, but like we talked about what we wish they did, right?
Yeah.
And then I actually got to play the game, and they ended up doing that in the game. But I do feel, even though I kind of feel the same way. I mean, I felt this the way about the other add-on, what I call an add-on episode, when you got to see Bill and Frank's backstory, which it didn't really, I don't think, apply too much moving forward. But I still gave it a good score because it was a great, episode by itself, like a great standalone story. Yeah. I thought that was really good. It was executed great. No real gripes with that itself. It's just I didn't think it belonged in the actual show itself. But with this show, I'm going to keep it at a 7. I'm going to move it up because the performances were great. The story was good, but it was also, I still felt was even more unnecessary. And I'm going to tell you why. Even like if you look at the fact that they added this as a DLC to the game, it's not even necessary for the game itself.
Yeah.
I didn't need to know.
Flashback.
And I said it in the last episode. I didn't need this event to happen in order for me to realize that, oh, this is the reason why she's saving Joel. The reason why she's saving Joel is because because she cares for him. She feels safe with him. We kind of already covered this in the previous episode with Joel's conflict about taking her and not giving her to Tommy, and then her reaction to that. Yeah. And it was pretty like laid in stone, like this is why I want to go with you. And so I didn't need this backstory to further explain that to me or further justify her reasoning to save him. Yeah. Because in a way itself, why wouldn't you want to save the guy who's, he's bigger, he knows how to fire weapons, he can live off the land. Like if you can save him, that's better your survival instead of trying to go back through the place you came and get back to Tommy. You know what I mean? I mean, because I think it was a 5 to 7 day ride just to get to the university from Tommy. Yeah. And I don't know how long she was dragging Joel, maybe a couple hours or whatever the case is. So let's just say it's another 5 to 7 days back to Joel by herself. I don't think she's ever been alone, like outside that.
Outside the walls.
So I just didn't need it, and I felt like it could have been done better. But I still, in some way, appreciate it as itself, just not as much as the Bill and Frank episode.
I can see it pushing back. If I watch it a third time, maybe I'll like it a little bit more.
And we will watch it a third time. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to talk about the differences really fast between the game, and let's just talk about, and then let's just hit the scenes we like, and we'll just go for it. So, housekeeping, differences of the game. So really quick, we'll do this as fast as we can.
Yeah, go ahead.
When Riley comes in to wake up Ellie, she bites her she acts like she's biting her in the neck. She acts like an affected person as opposed to the hand on the face thing. Let's see.
I would have liked that better.
It was cuter. It was funnier. Yeah. Ellie doesn't seem, here we go. Ellie doesn't seem mad about, Riley joining the Fireflies in the game itself. It's just kind of like, oh, you did it. Oh, okay. That's all, like, good for you kind of thing. There's not this whole war where Ellie's on one side on her beliefs on Fedra and where Riley's on the other side calling them fascist pigs and stuff like that. Yeah. It just seems like, I mean, we have a scene we're going to pull where Ellie feels that Fedra's kind of holding things together, and the Fireflies are killing innocent people with pipe bombs and stuff. Yeah,
after that conversation she had with Kwang, she's drinking the Kool-Aid. I'll say,
I don't know if it's Kool-Aid. I mean, we don't know. It's just different points of views. It just depends on. Like, we'll move on. All right, so then the alcohol. It's really simple. They don't get the alcohol from some dead guy in the hallway. They actually get the alcohol from. There was a Fedra person that was stationed in the mall. And he had already died, but his stuff was still there. And so they find the alcohol in his stuff. In the game, Riley does need to kill an infected person in order to join the Fireflies. It wasn't like they're just like, oh, you want to be part of the Fireflies? Here's a gun. Have a nice time. Ellie knows Marlene. That's another thing too. Ellie knows Marlene. Ellie also knows that Marlene put her in with in the soldier camp.
Yeah. In the camp.
She also knows that Marlene knew her mom. She asks Riley at some point, like, does she ever talk about my mom? Mm-hmm. In the arcade, all the arcades work. It's not just one. They have a super soaker fight, and I mean, there's other stuff. Riley's not there making pipe bombs.
No.
But I think that's fast. There's plenty more stuff, obviously, because there's a whole counter thing with her just trying to survive by herself in the present time with Joel. But that's like the one things that kind of stuck out to me as I was playing the game.
Cool.
All right, let's talk about the first scene. We're gonna pull Kwang's scene or Kwang. We're gonna pull Kwang's speech to Ellie about being a grunt. So let's listen.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. You're smart, Ellie. You're so smart. You're stupid. Can't see where this is going? Let me help you out. 2 paths ahead of you. First path. You keep acting like a grunt so you get the life of a grunt. Up at dawn, walk the streets, walk the wall. You eat shit food, you do shit jobs, you take shit orders from your patrol leader, who'll probably be Bethany. And that'll be your life from now until you catch a bullet from a firefly or fall drunk off a roof or get your hair caught in a moving tank tread. There's the other path. You swallow this pride of yours. You follow the rules, you become an officer. You get your own room, you get a nice bed. We eat well, we don't go on patrol. We're cool in the summer, we're warm in the winter, and best of all, when you're an officer, you get to tell the Bethanys of the world exactly where to shove it.
So I love this scene or this speech for a couple of reasons. One reason is, and we kind of touched base, we touched on it a little bit from the last episode that we did about this current episode, was that Kwang seems like a good dude who actually thinks that he's doing the right things.
Yeah.
He thinks that he's holding, his responsibility is to, keep order, but then, keep people from ripping each other apart in the QZ.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see their side because we haven't really had a chance to see that side.
No,
all we've seen is
not giving us that.
What little bit of the Fireflies and obviously, conversations that have happened between Joel and other people and stuff. So I thought that was kind of nice. The other thing, it just shows, I guess, the conflict of who Ellie wants to be, which might be the whole meaning of this episode, by her deciding whether to save Joel or not, which I still,
I don't think that's a dilemma really for her.
Like apparently maybe I'm just trying to add something to this, but I liked seeing at least that side of Fedris perceived as being bad this entire time. We get to see there's actually
like
humanity
that too.
there.
I like your take on that.
Yeah, I do. Let's listen to the other part of the speech, which I really like what Quan says right here.
Why do you even care?
I care because no matter what anyone out there says or thinks, we're the only thing holding this all together. If we go down, the people in this zone will starve or murder each other. That much I know.
I completely agree with him.
Yeah.
For me, the truth speech that I like to call, I'll call it, is I think there's this bigger picture. There's a lot of young teenagers across the world who should get this kind of speech from somebody, because you call it the grunt speech. You want to be a tough guy, you want to be a grunt, you want to be a bully, that's the life you want to portray yourself now. That's where it's going to lead you down that path. You're going to have a grunt existence, right?
Right.
The path you choose. And I think the way he executed that speech, the actor Terry Chen, it was phenomenal. If I had a kid who was, going on the wrong path, that's the kind of speech, I hope would resonate with them, so they can see that, you want this is the path you want to lead. This is the kind of life you're going to get. I'm going to give you a glimpse of your future, and that person that's pissing you off now is going to be your freaking boss and going to really piss you off. So yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah. It's one of my 2 favorite parts of this episode was the speech to Ellie, and it looks like Ellie, it resonated with her, because when she's with Riley on the roof, she's reiterating, hey, Fedris keeping this all together, which she just heard earlier in that day that, Quan wants her to be one of the people in the future that keeps crap together. Right. So I thought it was great. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the next scene. All right, so this one is a conversation between Ellie and Riley. So let's listen.
I'm sorry, are you telling me not to beat people up? You put Carol in the infirmary for a fucking week.
I'm just saying, you can't fight everything and everyone. You can pick and choose what's important.
Oh, are they teaching you this at Firefly University?
Kinda.
I hope this little bit, they show you it more in the coming episodes of the show, because I thought it was very powerful that she's telling, because Ellie it does have that hot head in her, right? You see her breaking the glass when after she got bitten.
Yeah.
And she has to learn you can't tackle the world, you can't fight everybody and kill everything.
So wouldn't it have been cool?
Yeah.
Is after she says that speech, all of a sudden it goes back to Ellie in the present, and she sees
Actually,
like a first aid kit
Yeah.
on the other side with like 2 infected people, and she could either A, try to kill them, or B, try to find a better path to get to it.
100%.
That would have been a great time, right?
Putting it in action, put that into action. And I hope they show you it later on in the show in the series where she puts that into action. But I thought that line was stuff that the character needs to hear.
Right. I guess they haven't had those moments yet where where Joel or her have had to make that choice. Like, should we fight now or kind of run away? I mean,
well, Joel, maybe
there has been. I guess when they went into KC, they did have those moments. They did. Okay.
But it needs to be more prevalent where it's her that making that decision, not Joel.
Yeah. I agree with that. All right, let's play this next scene.
Initiations?
Nope. I said yes, and now I'm a firefly.
That easy to give up everything, huh?
By everything, you mean becoming a fascist dickbag?
I mean, I don't know if it's that simple. Like, in a way, Fedra kind of holds everything together.
You know, as much as I love arguing with your stubborn ass, you're on a mission here.
I love seeing like how they're both on different sides of how they see, I guess, the world being ran right now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was having a conversation. My wife doesn't we're both in different places as far as why people are getting hung and what Fedra's actually doing. I'm just always assuming that Fedra's hanging people because they're, going over the fence, not checking in and out, possibly bringing the infected in or bringing the the fungus back in with them. Yeah. And so Fedra's got to lay down the law and make an example. But she's pointing out, like, we don't know that's why they're hanging them.
Yeah.
They could be hanging them because they're stealing food.
They're murderers.
Maybe they're murderers, but I'm saying, like, we're just assuming, like, the extreme and why they're getting hung. It could be for something as simple as, and I'm not saying this is bad to steal anybody else's food, especially, obviously, when the world is crumbling in front of you and, rations are going to be, really, scarce around the QZ. I'm just assuming. I didn't see a farm. Maybe, I don't know. But I was just always assuming the extreme where she's saying we don't know that. It could be because of the food stuff. It could be for, like, toilet paper, something really, shoplifting or something like that. And then just go with the whole, boom, I'm going to hang you. Yeah.
It could be that, or it could be, this guy, a raid led to a death of a Fedra soldier. So that's punishable by death. Right. It could be the extreme side, murder, or it could be you stole, a bag of apples.
Right. But then look at the extreme that, later in the episode, Ellie talks about how when she discovers the pipe bombs that Riley's making, she points out, like, innocent people are getting killed with your bombs. And she says something where it's like, well, I'll make sure that doesn't happen. And then Ellie says, well, they're going to listen to you. So she's looking at it as the Fedra side as being the law and order, and that the place would crumble without, really Fedra, where Riley is looking at it where Fedra's kind of holding them back in a way, which I'm still not understanding. It's that whole thing where, like, I'd love to see what you're going to blueprint. What's your plan here for a takeover? Like, if I guess, what's your campaign? What is Firefly's actually running on? Like, what's your
platform?
What's your platform, right? Like, what's your whole idea for change? Like, I would really like
better.
I would like them to kind of lay that out. Maybe it is somewhere we just never saw it. It'd be kind of a cool little Easter egg where all of a sudden, like, Firefly put up a poster somewhere and say, "Well, we changed this and changed that."
Yeah. And also in that scene where she says you gave up everything, to me, I think she's also referring to that she gave up her too. Yeah, because
I see
it's
that
like,
for sure.
You gave up everything to go join Fireflies. So, if I have to go watch people shovel poop, I don't want that job either. Right? So the Fireflies might look really intriguing at that point, right? But you do give up. She did give up a lot, right?
Right.
In Ellie's eyes, it's more than just giving up what could be quote unquote the good guys. You're giving up me too because you're gone.
Right.
The room's empty. So
yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the last clip that we pulled, which is kind of it's a little long, but I think if we were to bookend this episode, this would obviously be like the one we put at the very end, you know, because I think it's if you look at meat and potatoes of the episode as far as like conversations, this would be the potatoes.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of the episode.
All right, let's listen.
Options. 1, we take the easy way out. It's quick, painless. No, I don't like option 1. Option 2. We just keep going.
What are you talking about, Ellie? It's over.
It will be, but not yet. It ends this way for everyone sooner or later, right? Some of us just get there faster than others. But we don't quit. Whether it's 2 minutes or 2 days, we don't give that up. I don't want to give that up. We could just be all poetic and shit and lose our minds together.
What's option 3?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't think there's an option 3, Max.
No, they did a great job. And you know what's crazy? They did a great job in this scene, and it's the complete opposite of Bill and Frank, right? Frank wanted to just have one last day that he wanted to do everything and you know, call it a day, to end his life the one day. Whereas Riley doesn't want just to end one day. She wants to just let the course flow naturally, whether they get another hour, another 2 days, let what happens. So she's more this end of this quote unquote love story. She just wants it to end freely. Whereas Bill and Frank wanted it to be very specific. This is it. You know, so it was very interesting how the both of them were on different sides of the spectrum, which I could appreciate. You know, some people might say, you know what, this is my love. I want it to go as long as possible, right? To the bitter end. I'll see it through, right?
Right.
And then the other side of the spectrum, you know what? I don't want to see how this is going to turn out. Whether it's you mentioned Bill would have to take Frank's body to go make my loved ones go through this. We're just going to go off on that side. I'm not saying either side is right or wrong, but it was an interesting take for the show to have the two love stories, you know, end in glaring differences like that. So that was pretty cool.
I think you can look at age also.
Yeah,
because like
they're young.
Bill and Frank,
they lived.
They had a life together where Ellie and Riley, they're young and they didn't really have that relationship time together. I mean, as far as what we saw in this episode, this is the first time they've kind of expressed that they love each other in that way. They've expressed obviously that they're best friends and everything like that, but obviously that they wanted to, like, I'm assuming, be together.
Yeah.
They didn't get a chance to do that. But Bill and Frank, they did that for, what did we call it? It was 13 years, 14 years, 16 years.
Yeah. 16
Something
years.
like that.
Yeah.
And they had their whole life before that, you know? So I think that probably plays into it as well.
That's a great point. That's an excellent point, to be honest with you. I could so see. I mean, these love stories. I always say "quote unquote" love stories because we're dealing with an apocalypse here. It's not a rom-com or a Lifetime movie here. So these love stories are very they're raw and they're rough. And it was interesting how the two of them portray. Not very good in this show. Love stories.
Oh man, I mean, I guess if you're in a relationship, it's going to end. I guess
it's going to end badly.
It's going to end badly for you
during the apocalypse.
So this will be the third. Okay, so you have I guess so we can count it.
Tess.
We have Tess and Joel, which only one of them perishes.
Yeah.
But then you have Bill and Frank gone. Now you had and then if you look at siblings, you had Sam and Henry.
Not well.
They're gone. Kathleen and her brother
didn't end well. Gone. But Joel and Tommy are going okay, except for Tommy being a jerk and not telling him about his wonderful commune where he's raising, commie bacon. You know, that kind of sucked. But and me, I thought Tess was into Joel more than Joel was into Tess, so she's the one that dies. There's my theory. Too much love ends
So
bad
you think
for you.
Riley is more into Ellie?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? Yes. You know why? Because she's older. So she understands love a little bit better.
Sure.
I know they're getting on that cringe area, 17 and 14, but
No, you said it. You brought it up.
I brought it up.
Uh-oh.
17 and 14, but she can when you're a little older, even though it's only 3 years difference,
Right.
but your understanding of love and your emotions are a little bit better between 17 and 14.
Let's also not forget she had a relationship with her mom.
Yes.
And I can't remember if they said her dad, but her family.
Her family, yeah.
So, and Ellie didn't. Yeah. What we know, Ellie was taken from her mom like when she was a baby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think so.
They're going to show that.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. The last episode of the season, Ellie in the game plays Ellie's mom. So we're going to see something like that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So we're going to see something there. So that's not a spoiler. It's all over everywhere. So everybody knows this. So
all right.
That's going to be fun. I think the next 2 episodes are going to be great. David and his group and James. I'm sorry for James. But it's going to be great.
All right. Well, let's do Ellie Meter right now.
Ellie Meter this week is sponsored by Explosive Mall Nachos. I was going to do tacos, but nachos popped into my head just now. Maybe it's because it's lunchtime. And my wife loves nachos. I'm not a big nacho person.
I love nachos. Yeah.
You're a nacho guy?
Oh, I'm a huge nacho guy. I'm a big chips and salsa nacho guy. Chips and dip.
Okay, cool.
Love that shit.
I like chips and dip, but I'm not a big nachos. So, Ellie Meter, where up, down this episode? Because this was an Ellie-centric episode. And, there's more of Ellie to come in the next episode. So where did you fall?
Oh man,
she went up, down.
I mean, she stayed stagnant. I would say
because you're already at her. What are you at? 7 or 8?
She's at 7 right now.
Yeah, she's at 7.
It's a low 7. Like it could be.
Yeah.
It could go down into a D maybe. Still.
Yeah.
She's a C right now. I don't know. I got this big issue. I keep playing this video game. If I wasn't playing the video game, she'd probably be going up even more.
Yeah.
And
because you're comparing the two
I'm
characters.
going to say this right now, and this kind of sucks. So here we go. And I think we talked about this a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I'm such a bad person. I don't know what it is. I think I just like machines more, like video games and like artificial intelligence. I don't know what it is. But this is I actually finally saw a character for the first time that I hadn't seen in the game, right? With Riley. Okay. I never played the DLC before.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any built-in vision of her or like her voice or expressions or, really anything. Okay.
Yeah.
So I finally got to see a character for the first time without the game. So I've seen Riley before. Now I played the video game with Riley
in there. Yep.
I like the video game version of Riley better too.
Okay.
So I don't know why. It just seems like everything is presented in a more, I guess, your personality world kind of way. I don't know how to say it, but
it's a game.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the Riley in the game itself or in the show did a bad job. I'm just saying I just preferred the delivery of what was there in the game.
Okay.
And so it's just the game is so good. The game is so good. And I know people who listen to this some people don't play video games
at all.
They've never played The Last of Us. If there was one video game that you should play, I can't say that. There's a lot of video games to play.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was about to say.
If you're looking for a video game that tells a story and, that's, great voice acting, presentation, graphics,
the works,
it would be The Last of Us. If you can get the PlayStation 5 remastered version, it's so good. It's so good. It's done so well. And, I don't know. Ellie's still a 5. I'm sorry. Ellie's still a 7.
A 7.
She was a 5 at one point.
Yeah,
She's a 7.
I figured because she didn't do a lot in the present time to enhance the character. It's more of you telling her backstory to better understand her.
I mean, that should enhance her though. If you're telling her backstory.
Yeah, I guess so. You're right.
It just didn't. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff to cram in the last 2 episodes.
But they're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be very entertaining.
Yeah, and then she has. Look, this is what I tell my son all the time. look, there's a lot of school left. There's enough left for you to be able to jump your grade up to at least this.
Yes.
And I think if she has the right platform, or I guess the right material, and it's executed properly, she could go up a point the next episode.
Oh, I think she could go way higher.
I'm saying she could go next episode. She can get to an 8, and then 9. I mean, the last episode of the show, which you and I know what happens.
Yeah,
obviously, people that have played the game, they know what happens. But the people that don't know what happens, she has the opportunity to go up 3 points. She could get to a 10.
She could by the end of the season. I could see that.
But she could also get lower. I mean, she could go down.
I think next episode she can go a point or two if in your 10 your score.
We'll see that. The next one would be the main one.
That's where she could get the bulk of her grade up, right?
Yeah,
like it's that project at the end of the year. If you nail this project, it's gonna weigh a lot of points.
You've been with study groups, all year. It's time for you to start, taking the test here by yourself, and so we'll see what happens.
Well, episode 8 is called "When We Are in Need." We get David's group. I can't wait. So we'll be on Sunday.
Yeah,
this is gonna be awesome.
All right, so I think we can wrap it up right now, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do a quick wrap up really fast. Thank you everybody who's supported us through the Last of Us podcast so far, and now we're shifting over to to newer content. I guess different shows coming out.
Additional content.
The rebranding. We are the ExStreamists.
Yes, we are.
That is plural, right?
Extreme in the middle.
ExStreamists.
Yeah.
Extreme in the middle. And the feedback we've gotten during the show The Last of Us has been really great. And it's actually, I think that's what made us want to continue to do more stuff and do more shows and just branch out there. And we're talking about doing some video coming up pretty soon, putting some stuff on the YouTube, stuff on TikTok. I can't believe it.
You got me doing content first, this podcast, now you're gonna make me do video. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. You're powerful, man.
Man, I wish that was true. But yeah, thank you to everybody. Don't forget about our Patreon page. If you like the content, you want to help support us, you want to help us make some more stuff, feel free to jump on over there. Shoot us a message. Let us know what you think we could, do to enhance our presentation. Suggestions, what we missed, what we got right, what we got wrong.
Yeah, we're going to be adding a lot of behind the scenes content to the Patreon.
Yeah, that's going to start flying.
Trust me, our conversations behind the scene are crazy.
Yeah, we'll be adding the Tulsa King up there. We talk about episode 1, 2, and 3, and then going off of that,
the rest of the show will be on there.
Yeah, the rest of the show will be on there as well. So, be on the lookout. Thank you so much for your time, and
the ExStreamists are out.
Catch you next time. Music composed by Kyle Torme. Additional bed music composed by Jason Zaffrey. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Last of Us, a Rot Your Brain podcast. Subscribe to The Last of Us podcast feed at rotyourbrainmedia.com/The Last of Us. Follow us on Twitter at rot_yourbrain and support Rot Your Brain Media and its podcast by being a part of this exciting new and growing community. Visit patreon.com/rotyourbrainmedia.